and it looks like maybe you have it on a jersey or something. Maybe it's just a word mark towards the bottom. But I was excited immediately. Like, so I want to say this before we hand it over to you. You told me that you rebranded the Bills,
Yep.
and I immediately scoffed because I like what the Bills have.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm willing to see it, but
Right.
I love what they're doing already. I don't know that you're going to be able to top it. But then I saw this. I was like, okay, so this guy's got something here.
Yeah.
So talk to us about this decision with the word mark here with the horn and the bee.
Right. So and yeah, as you said right there, like going, when I started this project, I was like, okay, so it hit COVID hit, and suddenly we all had time to sort of play around with other stuff. And one of the things I wanted to do was like, okay, let me do some sort of projects that I can actually engage in something that I really like and I always want to probably do, which is, a professional sports team. And when I wanted to do with the Bills was more than redesigning the Bills just for the sake of doing it. I wanted to keep it as real as I could to what will happen if they decide to do something like this. And the first thing I did was basically I went back and tried to check, where they're coming from, meaning the design, the designer, trying to figure out what they were trying to do and all that. And at one point, my initial idea of okay, if you're gonna rebrand this, they have something as of right now that sort of works. So, why would you touch on that? So the premise was okay, so if I'm gonna do this, I'm just gonna hopefully I'm gonna enhance the whole visual language that they have right now, which is pretty limited. It's good, but it's limited. So in the process of trying to come up with idea, one thing that came into my attention was that they did try to change the logo, and this was back. Let me see if I can get this right. This was back in 2000. They came up with a logo that, if you see it compared to, the version of 1973, which is the current one that they have, you go like, oh, so this is why you don't messed up,
Mm-hmm.
a completely fine logo, identity more than logo. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so forget about, as a client, if I were to talk to them, I wouldn't try encourage them to do something too crazy or different. So from the bison perspective, I was like, okay, now seeing this the way it is, if I were to do some changes, okay, why would you do those changes? And a few things that came to my mind was one of the things that I don't completely love the current logo is that, I don't know if it's based on the idea that, from the background of the original designer, being an aerospace designer, is that the flying bison, it feels really unnatural to me. And, um, one of the things I wanted to do was, okay, let's put some weight into this, majestic creature, I guess. And based on that, a few things started changing. Meaning, for example, if you compare their version to my version, um, one of the big difference is, the current one is flying, where mine is already has the two back legs on the ground, sort of giving weight in proportion to the animal. And going from there, then a few details that I want to incorporate, like the more clear eyes, or um, uh, hopefully like a little bit of the nose in there. Sort of mixing because they also have a secondary bison that I didn't put in the presentation, but it's like an old uh, illustration as well of a bison, but it's more like a realistic bison. So when you compare those two versions, they are very different, and they're very, they respond to very different language. So
Yeah.
that was why I wanted to bring some of that reality of that version to the flying bison that they have right now. From there, again, a few details like more clear eyes, and the nose looks a little bit more clear as well. But the the overall shape of the bison, that I didn't want to change. The red stripe moving across the bison, showing movement, that I didn't want to get rid of, because those are essential parts of what makes this current logo pretty good. So,
Right.
and then going from there, one of the details that I wanted to sort of clear out was the horn. And then, because right now what they have is the horn is mixed with the eye of the bison, so it's not
Yep.
very clear where the eye start
Oh yeah.
and finish, and where the horn does the same thing. So once I did that, I was like, okay, let me then take this to what I wanted to go, which was enhancing the the identity. And for that, I was like, okay, doodling around, figuring out a new lettering for the Bills typography, and that's when it hit me that I could integrate the horn into the B in a very clean, way, which could be link between each things. Because right now, they what they have for typography and their name is basically a serif font, and that's it. I
Hmm.
Yeah.
guess it responded to that old school of design in terms of forces, where they have a serif font and strong and all that, but more than that, it didn't do anything else with the logo, with the bison. So that disconnection, I tried to reconnect it and sort of make something special out of it. And my version, my typographic version, it isn't supposed to substitute the main logo. It's just supposed to enhance what they have right now. And that's why I don't know if you were able to see. Well, yeah, talk about it. You saw the helmet that I put there with the B on the side. Um, Again, when you see it, you go like, oh, this looks like a very interesting secondary version that I can definitely see working, because they are connected with the Bison illustration as well. And the way that bee falls into the side of the helmet, which is one of the things that I love the most, is that it gives the players horns. You
Hmm.
have the
Yeah.
Vikings as well doing the same thing, but apart from being just taken from the main illustration, it's not something too crazy, I guess. But having more than just having the horn there, but also having the bee as the bills, in there, I kind of feel like that gives it a little bit extra than just having a horn in the helmet. So when I got to that point, I was like, oh, this I really like where it came down to. I really like the two ideas married together, and then seeing it in the helmet, which is obviously what you're gonna see in the games and whatnot. I kind of feel like it really felt pretty well. So yeah,
Yeah, look, I love the horn and the bee, Luis. I love it. I think that's a great touch. I mean, it's kind of it's interesting to see that you chose red because they were red very limited in terms of their time as a franchise, arguably through their best time as a franchise in the late '80s and early '90s. So it's you
right.
kind of become accustomed to seeing that white helmet back. So it's kind of cool to see the red back on a Bills helmet here.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you just mentioned. Like, it's one of the old looks. I think if I don't remember, they have done it in the last few years, when the NFL does like the throwback sort
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
theme
Hmm.
for a weekend. They will definitely have that. And in that version, they actually use it's just a red helmet, and then the bison, it's not even the blue red version. It's just like a complete red version of the bison. So
Yeah.
it's very distinctive, and I guess it's okay. But I feel like it's sort of, I don't want to say looks lazy, but then again, if you were able to now, like for example, with what I did was, okay, so if we were to get creative, why not to sort of explore an idea that I will actually be a little bit different from what we used to, and then it's probably creating a new classic. So I felt like using the red, and then because I also tried the blue. I gotta tell you, like my mock-ups, I tried different versions. But
Right.
ultimately, the red, the that impact that it has, that energy that it gives, definitely way more powerful. If I were to use the blue as that background,
Right.
right?
Out of curiosity, you don't have any of the blue here. I understand it not being a blue helmet, but you didn't use any
Right.
blue like as an outline
Accents.
or an accent color. Was that by design, or did you just not want to include it? Or
You know, that's the one. You know how I don't know you guys, but when you do a project, you work in a project, 2 3 months after its launch, you go like, oh shit, like, I miss
no?
something here. And it happened to me with this, and with what you just said here. Um,
Yeah.
in the design that I put, it doesn't show up, but I did use
Hmm.
like a blue and white stripes going through the middle of the helmet from the front to the back
Okay.
to
Okay.
sort of and there's one image that's sort of, if you pay attention to it, you probably can figure out what I'm talking about. But after I was done, I was like, Jesus, like I almost wondering, not probably including the red bar emotion element that they have in the helmet, but I did want to uh, play a little bit with using blue in the outline of the bee, some sort. I don't know how would that, but after I was done with it and I did all my presentations, and I actually was like, yes, yeah, I probably could have pushed that side a little bit more and have blue integrated to the monogram, and that probably would have tied everything even more together. But yeah, that was one of the things that after I was done, I was like, yeah, I probably should have revised that and put that blue into the monogram itself.
Quick question: why has nobody ever done a blue cage?
I was looking at that. I was like, a good place to work in blue here would be the face mask.
Yeah, like the cage
Um,
would look cool with blue.
but yeah, no, it absolutely would. I like it as white too. It definitely doesn't need to be red. It needs to be either white or blue.
I was just
Um,
thinking because you guys were saying there was no like you didn't see any blue,
yeah,
but that's the
yeah,
only thing I was thinking.
yeah. No, and that's the thing. It's. I was trying to picture the outline as you were talking about it, and I normally am very much in favor of outlines, but as I'm looking at it, I think you went the right route, Luis, because I think an outline, especially where the top of the horn uh, comes to the top of the B, it's they're kind of close, and if you put an outline
Right,
in there, it will look very jammed up. So I think you made the right call.
right, right, right. Yeah, and ultimately, again, this the whole concept behind it was to, again, sort of talking to the new audience and new you know
Moder-
fans, I guess.
Modernize it
Right.
a little.
Meaning
Hmm.
making the brand a little bit, right, making the brand a little bit more, trying to have less, but still,
Y-
right,
yeah,
trying
like
to have less
minimize.
and still have that strength and power behind the brand. So for sure, keep it as simple was definitely a key idea that I wanted to, get through the whole project. So yeah.
Basically, make it say like less is more.
Yeah, I love this because it's that hoodie is sweet.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like the
I
hoodie.
like the hoodie a lot.
I love the word mark. This is a perfect blend of kind of exactly what you say in the caption. It's a great way to tip your cap to the last 30, 40 years of the franchise, but kind of tweak it to where it just gets a refresh going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Right.
that. There's
This has
Yeah,
everything.
and sorry, and just to go after that thought right there was, you know, when obviously when the whole project started during COVID and all that, and that was primarily one of the reasons. But one of the things looking back at it, and when I started doing this was like, well, you know, if this is gonna work, then you definitely have to sort of don't not forget about what the team has, you know, the meaning that it has for so many fans,
Right.
you know, with their classic style and all that. Because one of the reasons I pretty sure, and I don't know if you were able to Google quickly the 2000 version of what they tried to do. Like when you compare that, you go, well, yeah, you probably messed up because you completely, you know, went behind an idea that completely disconnected the fan base with what they known till the moment. So you know, no wonder why that rebrand failed. This is back when social media wasn't a thing
mhm.
as strong as it is today, or
Right.
volatile as today. But I'm pretty sure, and I wasn't living here, but I'm pretty sure that was a very, very hard hit, you know, to their marketing team or whatever. Because yeah,
Oh, sorry.
If I think I found the one you were talking about. Oh no,
yeah,
that is very, very, very 2000 though.
Yes, it is.
It's
It
very,
looks like
very
a
co-
2000.
It looks like
Right.
a college mascot.
Yeah.
Or not
Yeah.
mascot, but you know, an emblem.
Like the Buffalo Bison or something, like University of Buffalo or something.
That looks like the Sabres of like the
Mhm.
mid to late 2000s logo, only just they changed it to gray instead of gold.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah.
That's
B
a,
for
a
basic.
lot.
Right, right.
That is a lot. Glad they did not pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely you compare that and you go like, well, you know, it sort of makes sense. I didn't work because you guys completely abandoned whatever you had as
Mhm.
heritage and then just try to paste something in front of your jersey that didn't look at all like something that people were used to do. So
Right.
Totally.
Ooh,
I like that.
yeah, you did a nice little. That bee looks sharp
I
on
love the
the
bee.
on
Uh-huh.
the stadium.
That looks
Yeah.
like something you'd remember as far as like,
Hmm.
yeah.
You happen to be driving by on the highway or whatever. Yeah, I think
That looks nifty.
yeah,
yeah, the B and the refresh of the word mark, just the Bills spelled out look fucking good, man.
You did good, sir.
They look really good like that because that's
Oh,
perfect.
thank you, thank you.
That's exactly what it is now. Only it's refreshed. It looks way more modern and it looks more updated because they've had the same word mark for, I mean, Christ, since Jim Kelly was there.
Yeah.